Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we are taking a look at the Amaran. This is the P60c. It'll cost you $350. So let's take a look at what comes inside the box. Now first off, inside the box you are going to get this foldable grid, which we will look at in a bit. And you are going to get a very nice, the light in a very, very nice case. And you're going to get the pop-up diffusion, which we will also get back to. And they've included a very nice cleaning cloth. Now let's talk the bag. The bag is really, really nice. It is quality. It is what you would expect from Aputure. Great Velcro, fantastic zippers, very, very nice quality. Now in the top here, unzipping the top, we have all the cables you could possibly want. You get kind of this mini Nutrix connector here with the power brick. They include a safety cable, which is very nice. And then you get the cord here. Now this is not the longest cord in the world, so you're probably going to want to use an extension cord, but it does have that safety lock that the 100 and 200 series have, which I really, really like. And then here inside this last pouch, it looks like you get the mount, which we will go over. And that is it for the top of this. Digging into the bottom here, and again, this feels really nice. It's very well padded. You get a little pocket with your Aputure stickers and a little card that leads you to the CitusLink app, which is nice. And you get the unit itself. And I really love that they've included these straps to keep it in. And you just kind of have to maneuver them away and pull out the panel. And there is very nice padding inside the case. Now, I have to tell you, this is substantially heavy. This is surprisingly heavy. Now, it is made of plastic, but this is solid plastic. This is not bad at all. Build quality looks very, very nice. So, there it is. You get the unit, and let's take a look at all the controls and features and all that fun stuff. So, taking a look at the back, you do get two fans. You do get two Sony NPF batteries here with these plastic releases. Unfortunately, unlike the older Amaran panels, this does not come with batteries, but you are getting quality inside this light. But they are very, very nice. You do need both batteries to run it. And again, these do not feel cheap at all. All the knobs are very solid. The buttons feel really good and clicky. There is not really any major problems with this. It is surprisingly heavy. You do get a 1/4-20 on the bottom, your connector right there, and you get a 1/4-20 on the top here, some ventilation on the top, and another 1/4-20 on the other side. You do, of course, get a frosted plate over the LEDs, which looks very, very nice. And all in all, this build quality feels premium. For a budget light, this does feel rock solid. It does feel very professional. So as we begin to set this up, let's take a look at this mount because it is a very interesting solution. If you remember, the mounts to the 100 and 200 series are terrible plastic. They do not instill confidence. Well, they've included this kind of like photography metal mount here. And I have to say, it is very premium feeling and solid. It feels pretty good. And you do get an umbrella holder, which is fantastic. And they do include everything that you need. So let's go ahead and set this up here. And that feels pretty good. Moves pretty well. Pretty solid. I know some people hate these, but this seems pretty good. And there we go. Very, very nice. Now, let's see if it'll actually support the weight when I turn it. And there you go. It does seem to support the heavy weight of the light. Some people said that was an issue. I am not seeing, oh, yep. So yes, note that you will, if you're gonna point the light this downward, you are gonna want either a C-stand or a heavier stand that is sandbagged. Because this thing will tip over if your light stand is not sandbagged in. So just keep that in mind. But it does hold the weight. It's not falling down. I don't see any issues there. So that is fantastic. Okay, so right off the bat, one of the negatives that I found with this light is it tilts a little. So say you want to get this straight up like so. You're going to get a little bit of tilting. in it. So that is something to be aware of. That may screw up the position of your light. However, this can easily be fixed by pulling out the light socket here and flipping this whole thing upside down. So you want to make sure that when you set this up, that the Aputure logo is downward, like so. This also moves the umbrella holder, doesn't really move it to the wrong place. You'll still be fine with the umbrella holder. And then you'll slide this in, like so. And there you go. Now the tilting problem should be gone. And as you can see, no tilting problem whatsoever. So just make sure when you use this mount, use it upside down. So let's take a look at how this connects. Now there is a connector under here, and you do get a very nice twist release here. So this is just going to, I do believe, pop in right on the bottom here with a nice pop. And again, to release, you twist and pull. So very, very nice right there. And of course, you do get a safety chain here so that you can hang this onto a light stand, which is very, very cool. Now, the pack itself does have quite a very long cord, which is pretty nice here. This is nice and long, so that will stretch. However, this cord is not very long at all. So just keep that in mind. You might need an extension cord. And this will pop in like so. And it does safety lock in, so you can't pull it out. You do have to pull this red tab here in order to pop it out, which is fantastic. Okay, so here we are with the CitusLink app. And first off, let's go ahead and go into the menus here on the actual panel. And we are going to go to Bluetooth reset. You will need to do this. Select yes. And right away, just like the 100 series and 200 series, it resets the Bluetooth, which is fantastic. Let's go ahead and add a light here and hit new fixture. And we've already re-upped the Bluetooth. So let's go ahead and add this fixture and hit setup. And this will take a few seconds. Click OK. And right away, let's go into the one here that says P60. And again, very, very nice. Let's go ahead into it. And here we go. Now we have full controls. Now here we are at 17% here. So this is 0%. This is 100% with the bare light. And let's go down to about 50% here. This is 50% with the bare light, which is very nice. Now you can go into something that is advanced. The advanced just change this to multiple colors. You do get 32, 4056, which is very nice. And of course you can click here, and you can actually program this light, which is very cool, by clicking that hourglass in the center. You could say when you want it to begin, when you want it to end, midpoint, and duration, which is very, very cool. I'm not going to mess with that. Yes, we want to exit from that. And we're going to go back into standard here. And that's going to turn back on our light, which is very, very cool. Now, you also get buttons here that leaves you to quarter, half, and full. So again, with the app, you get a lot of controls. Let's go to quarter, which is 25%. Here's 50%, and here's 100%. Very, very, very cool. I love the fact that you can just whip this thing so fast. Now, you do have control over your gels. And again, it tells you what your gels are. You have a very nice list here. You can go between tungsten and daylight. Oops, that's the wrong button. And of course, you have your color wheel. You could take a picture. You can type in what you want. And of course, you have control of all your effects as well. So very, very, very cool. The CitusLink app gives this thing so many more features and so much more control. So let's go ahead and let's get some color readings. And then I'm going to slap on the softbox and the grid and show you how that looks. Okay, so here are my camera settings, and I promise they're here this time. I forgot to include them on the Sakani video, so here are my normal camera settings. This is what I set my camera to. And we're gonna go into the app for the Blackmagic camera that I'm shooting on. and we are going to do some testing. Now we are at 25% at 5500 Kelvin with the light. So let's go ahead and flip this over because I am using white balance. Yes, you can use gray, but for this test, I am using the white balance tool. And let's go into our exposure and let's try to fill up the entire screen here and hit our auto white balance. And right away, this is going to give us about 48, is that right? This is going to give me around 49.50 with a tint of 18. So this thing is fairly close. It is a little bit off, but 49 is not that far from 55, but keep in mind, it is off. So let's go ahead and let's go down to a tungsten reading here, and let's go to 3200 Kelvin here. And let's go back to the Blackmagic app and let's try to get a white balance here. And we get about 3000 Kelvin, which is pretty close to 32. So color-wise, this thing is pretty darn solid. Now let's try 4400 Kelvin and see where it lands. Now keep in mind, this is 25% we're at brightness. And let's go ahead and make sure that is nice and centered. And we're getting about 3650. So all in all, not bad. It is not too far off. Pretty accurate on the lights. So let's go ahead and stick on the softbox and then we'll try the grid. Okay, so let's talk grid and diffusion here. Now, first off, the diffusion is going to come in this very, very nice, very solid, not cheap case at all. It is very nice. And it will just pop out and unfold like so. Now, this does have kind of the little tent poles here. I like the fact that these aren't magnetic. They actually slide inside, so they're not going to come undone, unlike the diffuse panels that I have. But setting this thing up is rather a breeze, like so. And you are pretty much set up and ready to go here. Now, I would suggest placing this flat on the table here and taking your light off, like so. Go ahead and pull the light out. Now you do have these little elastic bands here and you have these notches on the side here. So basically what you're gonna do is these are gonna go around sort of the notches here, like so. And you wanna have the light. Let's see if I can do this. So this right away is not one of my favorite things in the world. I really wish there was just sort of a strap to this. So the easiest way to do this is to go around to these notches in the back here and just squeeze this kind of over. This is not my favorite feature on this light. It seems very difficult to get this thing in and positioned properly. Not the best. I'm pretty sure somebody will come out with something different that will work a heck of a lot better, but I am not impressed with the way that this softbox goes on. It is very janky, very difficult to get on. I tried putting it down on the table. It didn't work so well. Yeah, the softbox is not the best. So let's go ahead again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of pull these back, but try to keep the softbox forward, like so. And then pull the back corner here, and then pull the back corner out here and around. But all along you are trying to keep the, as you can see, you're trying to keep the aperture forward, but bending the elastics around here, like so. I'm sorry if you can't really see this, but I am doing my best to show you. It's just not very good. So, not impressed with the softbox at all. I think this thing is very difficult to get on. It is not very well designed. It is very, very difficult to get on. I've only managed to get one side on so far. So as you can see, you do have to get the softbox kind of in front and then pull these straps back. It is very difficult. I could definitely see myself not using this diffusion and just putting up a piece of diffusion rather than go through that trouble because that was kind of difficult. So now let's attach the grid. Now the grid just comes in this bag. There is no case. I really wish there were. But let's go ahead and pop out the grid here. And the grid is also very tight as well. It does kind of fold in on itself. But the grid just kind of, I guess, clips in here. Not very well. There is like a ridge here. So you are going to go along the back ridge here, like so. This is and you just kind of press it on. There's not like there's a lip or anything. You just kind of press this on and just kind of shape it and kind of pull this in. The grid is actually too big for the light itself, which is very interesting. So the grid does look like it's actually oversized. So there you go. There is there is the grid. As you can see, it hangs off the end over here. So really not that impressed with the softbox and grid combination. Hopefully something like the Rag Shop or DP Choice will come out with something better that'll just clamp onto this, because it's usable, but I'm not impressed at all. It's very well made. It just doesn't really fit. Yeah, doesn't seem to fit. It seems to be too big. So there you go. Now let's take a look at the light quality with the grid on and with just the diffusion. Okay, so here are my settings on the camera right now. And this thing has the grid on it, it has the softbox, and it's running at about 25%. So let's go ahead into the Situs Link app here, and let's go to half, which is 50%, and let's go to full 100%. So as you can see, not bad. It really does control the light very, very well, despite the fact that the grid is much bigger than the softbox. Now here we are with just the softbox. This is 25% right here. This is half at 50%. And here we are at full power. This thing is super bright, even with the softbox on, so, and it does diffuse the light quite nicely. You are getting a nice soft light. So, all in all, the diffusion part of the softbox is not bad at all, and the grid seems to work very, very well. So, the Amaran P60c is a very, very powerful budget light at $350. Yes, it is a little bit above the what I would call my low budget tier, but it is a very useful light. Now let's just talk about what I do not like about this light. This grid. This grid is, I mean, look at this. This grid is actually too big for the light. And it is very difficult to open and to get on. I really wish they gave us sort of a little lip with the softbox to kind of fold this into. So not my favorite. The second thing I don't like is this softbox. It is very difficult to get on. You have to kind of sort of keep the softbox up front and then pull these elastics around. It was very difficult for me to do. If I was in a time crunch, I would be in trouble. It would definitely eat into my shoot time. Hopefully DP Choice or somebody else will come out with an alternative for this. It will probably be more expensive, but I would probably buy that and use that over this softbox. It's a good idea. It's just it's very hard to get on. So that is another negative. The other negative is not really a negative. These buttons here, these battery releases, they are kind of springy, plasticky. They feel okay, but time will tell to see how they hold up. But so far, so good. This mount is a much better step up from the yokes from the 100 and 200 series, which I, of course, in my review, which are right there, I'll post them up there. I didn't like those mounts. This is better, but it's not quite there. While I do like the fact that it's all metal, you have to mount it upside down, otherwise you get a little bit of it falls forward a little bit. And I did notice during my lighting test that it was kind of sideways, and I had to kind of sort of adjust my light stand in order to get it from tipping. Also, it's not the most controllable. It is, because the light is so heavy, it pulls it straight down, and it just works okay. Now you can purchase this one right here, which I would highly suggest you replace it with. It's just a little bigger, a little thicker, made of metal and plastic. It's for photography, pretty much the same thing. Not crazy about the mount. Now let's talk about the things I love about this panel. I really love this panel. It is pretty much like a mini Nova. It is small, it is powerful, it is heavy, that is a negative. And of course, one other negative that I did forget to mention before we go into the pros is the fact that when you are in gel mode, all you get is 5600 Kelvin or 3200 Kelvin. I really wish they had included a 4000 Kelvin, give us right in the middle, or give us control to be able to decide what color temperature we want so we can put the gel on the color temperature that we want. Other than that, this thing is fantastic. The build quality is rock solid and heavy. The fans are super quiet. You get full output on 2 Sony NPF batteries. I love the Nutrex, the little mini Nutrex connector. I think that's fantastic. The knobs and buttons all feel solid. You get special effects. You get control over your CHCT, plus minus green and magenta. This thing comes fully loaded. I love it. You get HSI. It's great. You get control over your fan mode. The fan, no matter what mode you're in, the fan is super quiet. There are 2 of them. And I love the fact that you can do up to 4 presets. That is fantastic. And it works beautifully with the Citus Link app, which you can use to update the firmware. And of course, you are going to get the ability to do those picker and that music thing. Not quite sure what that is. We will do another video when we get all of them in and all of them are activated. But all in all, the screen is absolutely beautiful. I love this thing. I could definitely see myself using this thing. I'm just going to be using it with diffusion and not the grid or the pop-up diffusion. So, who is this for? This is for everyone. If you're doing narrative, interviews, commercials, YouTube, you have a studio like this because yes, it does have that studio mode where all you have to do is flip a switch and this thing will go right on. You don't need to go into Citus and turn it on. So it will work beautifully with your in-home studio. This thing is fantastic. I'm really seriously thinking about keeping this because I would much rather pull something this small out than my giant heavy Luxley. When I need a quick setup. But all in all, it is great. The case is fantastic. I highly recommend it. For $350, you are getting premium. I do not know why they put Amaran on this. It should just say Aputure because it feels more like an Aputure light than something from the Amaran series. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.